Okay, I'm not sure if Alex will join from our side, but yeah, I think we are already on time. So far, only two of us. Yeah.
Today should be fast then, or faster.
Faster, yeah. Well, I only have some notes here. Alex mentioned that on last community hours, um, on the discussions around the CVE, the latest CVEs, there were it was announced that there is a new or we want to create a new security. Oh, Alex, hey, hello. So
There he is.
yeah, there is the security working group or the plan to create a new security working group.
Mm-hmm.
The agenda, I'm not sure if there is some official announcement around that, and that might be also collaborating with the testing working group. So yeah, we would like to know if there is some further announcement on that regard, or if you have some information about roadmap or agendas for this.
No, so I have basically the same information that you guys have, which is we are considering on creating that security working group, but no work has been done so far. So there's no agenda yet, and there's also no time frame or about when that will get implemented or the details. We have been busy with the CVE stuff and preparing for the Dot2 release after the CVE. So we've actually been in training with VMware, most of us. So we haven't had a chance to actually gather and start brainstorming on that. And delining. Uh, I'm missing the English word. Preparing the the security working group. So basically, it's just the same info as we had on the open hour, which is it is a good idea to create such a working group, and we need to um, think out about the details because on those matters, of course, there cannot be any kind of leakage because that could hurt a lot of users. So we need to see how we could do that and still open the security subject to
Mhm.
community members. So that's something very important. So no one wants to start getting information about um, an exploitable code path without having a fix for that or released. No one wants that.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's looking for a way to be open on the security so people can jump in, collaborate, and basically hardening salt. But at the same time, yeah, have the way also to prevent that all this information or maybe sensitive information can be then used or establish the way of. I
Yeah,
mean, it's something that you need to take care of and
we
plan.
need to be very careful about that. But yeah, opening up the security aspect of salt is on the agenda. So we are definitely at least going to consider that. And if it turns out that there's not a good way to do that, we will um, talk about that on an upcoming open hour or similar. But I think that's an awesome idea.
Just as an idea, so I think the Linux distributions they have a similar problem, right? Where they have to coordinate releases of security patches, and there are some. So I'm not exactly sure how they do the access control, but there are some mailing lists where only a few people are on from like different distributions and also guys from Intel, AMD, and whatever, who then
Hmm.
like now talk about upcoming security fixes, like the CPU meltdown, Spectre, all those things.
Yeah.
Where we're coordinated on mailing lists, so they have they might have solutions for some of the questions that you're having right now.
Yeah, so we have actually, so there have been some concerns about the way we are currently handling security releases, namely, should we or should we not include the test cases to see if we don't hit that security problem again with the release, because there might not be enough time for people to patch their systems. But Salt being open, it also doesn't make much sense not making the tests that prevent those security issues open as well. So there's a lot of things that we need to be careful, and we need to look at how others are doing this. So Alexander, I think that I'm going to write down your name, because you at least know part of the process that the Linux kernel does. And the more information we gather from how other open source projects are doing this, the better. Because we definitely don't want this to be something like a hidden secret within Salt, but we want to do it the right way. And so I'm going to suggest your name to be included in any meetings that we have, just to talk about how we should do this, just to get additional feedback, if that's okay with you.
It is, but I'm also not an expert. So we actually have like a security team that does what they call reactive security, where they get where people inform like SUSE about security issues that also also about OpenSUSE and not only SUSE products. So maybe one of those actually know more about the like day-to-day process and problems that they were facing or how they do it. So maybe we can actually get one of them into like the meetings.
Yeah. Do you also open up the security aspect of OpenSUSE? That's no, right? That's closed.
That's so security for OpenSUSE is also dealt with by the SUSE security team. So there's also it's also very close. And I mean, yes. Even inside SUSE, it's like security bugs are not company-wide open. So.
Oh yeah, yeah, makes sense. As companies grow, not everyone needs to know about these kind of issues. So yeah, I'm going to suggest your name in any upcoming discussions that we have about this, if you don't mind, of course. And perhaps we can even ask to see if you can bring someone from the SUSE security team to talk about the matter, just to see if we are if we do this right or not.
I think we can find someone that's willing to join. I mean, I hope. I can't promise it, but we can try.
Yeah, yeah. That would be awesome. That would be awesome. So on that item, I think this is all the information that I have about the current status of Salt and testing, at least on our end. There is a problem with macOS and FreeBSD when running under PyTest, but I haven't had time to look into that. And I will probably only have time once we get out of code freeze. Hopefully a little before, because I want us to switch to PyTest when we get out of code freeze. So there aren't many news to that end. There's actually some news regarding. So it's not the first time that we talked about not including every module in salt, namely because some of those modules are added to salt and then the contributor stops maintaining them and then we have to maintain it. And some of them are useful, some of them are probably not that useful. And so I've actually started paving out the way for us to have a salt-extensions organization on GitHub that will hold projects that extend salt in this way. So adding execution modules, state modules, everything the salt loader can load through entry points. And I've been working on a project which it's actually a pull request against salt adding a module. And since it's a new module, I decided to, okay, let's try and see if we can make this something external to salt. So create the code, the test suite, the pipelines, the CI pipelines, and that's mostly done. So I think soon enough we will get this out and spread. There's a lot of documentation that needs to be done, but there's also a little tool that will get you a bare bones project with everything set up for GitHub, at least. So the setup.py and all of that stuff, a minimal test suite, and some CI/CD pipelines running on GitHub Actions, which should help anyone trying to create a new extension get off the ground pretty fast. So it relates to testing because we do salt testing outside of salt. And that was one of the goals a while back and still is. And that's like a proof of we've done it. But yeah, that's about the news that we have right now on the salt stack end.
That's actually really exciting news. By the way, so are you planning, let's say, to go with this new organization or this extension thing for the new modules, or also for current modules, let's say, to create some logic groups of extensions and these things, and in the end, uh, you know, decouple the whole three that have at the moment with all the current modules.
Yeah, so we would like to thin down salt, that's for sure. There's a lot of modules that we don't know even if they are being used or not. But the problem is we've accepted them and we don't know if they are actually being used or not. So right now, this new organization, Salt Extensions, will be for new additions. Because we still haven't found like a good way to know what code to extract from salt. We cannot just grab a module and make it external because probably there are a lot of systems which are already set up and automated that rely on that. And so there's sorry, there's not a clean way for us to remove that code, at least so far. Maybe we can in the future add like an opt-in usage to Salt itself, so that we can post module usage with, well, just which modules are being used. We don't want any information from the system. But that way we could actually know what modules are more used than others. But this is, again, also would be opt-in. And so the data would probably not reflect proper usage because not everyone would enable that. So until we find like a good way to know what modules are being used in Salt, we will not be extracting anything. So for now, it's just you're trying to contribute a new code to Salt. If these Salt extensions proof of concept that I'm working on uh, proves out to work well, then we will likely start suggesting, please create this as an extension. And the idea is also to create an extension index, uh, like uh, the PyTest plugin list. Have you ever saw that?
Yeah.
It even has compatibility um, information. And so I also have plans to create that. Like, does this extension work with this Salt version under this Python version? And have a table of that. Um, and if maybe in the future we can also add something like votes or something like that. So if an extension becomes widely used, we might consider including that in Salt. So we will try to reverse the process. Like, if this gets a lot of usage, um, we might consider including that instead of making it outside of Salt. But this again is just some ideas, because we really want to thin down the Salt source tree so that we can maintain everything within Salt.
Yeah.
And these days it's hard. There are modules that we don't know what this does. So we have to look at that. We have to try and set up services to test against that. So it's hard for such a small team.
What's the difference in support or like for the consumer? What's the difference in expectations maybe between things you get from the extensions and from the like in-tree Salt code?
So the expectation right off the bat is that Salt code is maintained by the Salt core team and will be maintained by the Salt core team. These extensions will be maintained by their contributors. So if someone is interested in maintaining that, it will be maintained. We will have like downloads information. Probably we will also use the GitHub stars to get a trust level on the extension for someone trying to use it. And also the index that we are going to create should also give some, that's the index is done by us and is populated by us. And basically the idea is we find out on PyPy what packages are are Salt extensions. Sorry. We download them and run the test suite against the currently maintained Salt versions and the currently supported Python versions. And if that extension test suite passes, then we just get like a green check or something saying that this works with Salt. So at least that information that it works or not, based off of the extension test suite, of course, we will get that information. Perhaps we can like add karma like Fedora packages do for these extensions so that people can vote. But then again, we can use the GitHub stars for the repo so that we can improve the confidence of these extensions. Does this answer your question, Alexander?
Yeah, so for if I'm now like installing Salt and getting some like Salt extension, I mean, I guess it's not clear, or there's like no. Are you going to ship them or offer them in your repositories, or just via like PyPy?
No, we are not going to build packages for these.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So okay, I download them somewhere else as a user, and then I don't talk to you if I have a problem, basically.
You will
I
talk to the extension maintainer. Yes.
yeah, to the author
Like
directly. Okay.
the Galaxy thing for Ansible, right? Right, something like that. So community just
I'm not acquainted with it, but if that's like plugins, yes.
like a community
Yes, a community
where
maintained
people post
plugin list.
their collections of things, and then you can go there and look for cloud things or whatever, and then there is also stars and yeah, and
Yeah,
somehow yeah,
something along those lines. Yes.
yeah. And in the end, basically, you delegate the maintainership for the different extensions out of the core of the salt in this case.
Yes. 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 And this reduces our exposure to CVEs from code that was likely added years ago where we didn't even ask for tests. And we will, it will have these responsibilities be done on the extension maintainer.
Mm-hmm.
For example, the salt cloud stuff. If we ever want to extract that from salt, an extension could probably be the way. And that one we would maintain, the salt core team. But this is
Mm-hmm.
me talking now without
Yeah, sure. Mhm. There might be
we
some
don't-
extent where Sol core team is actively maintaining them, and some other just maintained by community or wherever.
yeah,
I more or
yeah,
less understand the idea behind, yeah. Because
precisely.
yeah, at some point, yeah, you think you need to have a way of making the technology to grow, but
Hmm.
at the same time not being, yeah, I mean, not without taking all the responsibility of having to maintain that code, which makes you to go slower maybe from what
Yeah, it does make. So
in
the problem, for example, with the latest CVEs that we had,
Hmm.
uh, they are, well, most of them are related to Salt API. And so if we, for example, if we separated Salt API from Salt Core, uh, whenever we tell people, look, there's a CVE coming, people who are just using a master in a minion uh, would not have to be worried because the CVE would be against Salt API if it was not included in Salt. And so, for example, like the latest 3 or 4 CVEs were all related to, or were mostly related to Salt API. And there was a lot of stress for the community for good reasons, of course. But this way, we would have a clearer way to make the community um, at least feel safer, because when there's a CVE, we cannot say what it is about, because then we are opening up people who are using that part of the code. So if we have these like separate things, um, then we could say like, look, if you're using just a salt master in the medium, you're safe. So this is like a possible outcome in the future if we do decide to like extract things from salt. But right now there's no plans to extract anything. There's no plans to remove anything from salt. This is like just a conversation that we're having and like ideas that I'm having
Yeah,
with you. Not we haven't the salt core team hasn't discussed this. We have discussed that we would love to thin down salt core, but we have never discussed on what should be removed or not. Like we we, we don't have a clear path of knowing that.
yeah, clear. Mhm. Okay. And yeah, we have been running. Well, Alex actually has been playing around of building a static Python, with the Tiamat, and also, yeah, we have been running different approaches, and we are also investing time on, having our static salt to basically being able to distribute to all different targets of operating system. So
Especially because you have older systems, right, that you cannot
yes,
upgrade easily. So
exactly.
if you go down the static route, it's probably becomes simpler.
Yeah, exactly. So we have been, for example, for CentOS 6 and SLS 11, which
Mm-hmm.
were the latest with 2.6, we at some point stick to the 2016 11.10 version of Salt, which was latest working with 2.6. But yeah, this is going to happen again and again because of the deprecation of Python versions and
Yeah.
how Salt is doing to support them, and we have to support all operating system for 20 years, something like that. So
Ouch.
yeah, is these long-term support contracts are like that, and it's crazy. So in the end, we need to be able to see how we can, instead of freezing Salt versions and trying to backport and doing weird stuff, doing something more yeah, maybe clever in this case, which is have the the Salt binary built on the
Mm-hmm.
lower GDP target that we will need to ship, and then just distribute it like that. Of course, we
Yeah.
need to take care of the dependencies, which yeah, all Python dependencies and all these things to put
Mm-hmm.
into the binary thing. But yeah, we are exploring this way. It may be that we will end up also doing this way in the future. It's not clear yet, but we are also yeah, making some efforts on this.
Yeah. Please share your uh, frustrations or awesome outcomes when using Tmat, because we are also working on that, and the work is evolving. We have betas out for uh, the security CVE that we've just released, 3002.2, which will be the next bug fix release. Will also have a TMAT available. So please share your pain points on using TMAT, because that's a pretty recent tool that still has a lot of place to grow.
We have been doing different approaches, like doing with PyInstaller directly, also using Tmat. And
Mm-hmm.
our goal also is to be able to build this, or to build the binary using OBS. You know that we use the
Mm-hmm.
OBS, the Open Build Service from OpenSUSE.
Yeah.
And there is the restriction that on OBS, when you build a package, you don't have access to the internet. So we need to also come with a way that we are able to provide the environment, and then instead of running pip to get all the dependencies, just
Mm-hmm.
take this environment that we are providing and then just bundle everything into a binary. So yeah.
So
I think that so with Tiamat, I patched Tiamat to have like a local directory where pip takes the sources from. That's not the problem. The problem is that we also patch packages, like Python packages. So we do RPMs for and then like build all the, so basically we just ship pip packages as RPMs in our distributions. I don't
okay,
know if
so
that's
and
still the
you
policy,
create,
but
yeah, you create patches against those RPMs.
exactly. So that's one thing that using Tiamat and therefore pip is maybe a bit harder than just using the RPMs that we already create, and then put them all like in a directory and then call PyInstall on it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's but I would say the biggest frustration right now is just building like those packages for my own Python 3.8 for SLS 11. That's just a bit annoying.
Yeah. Yeah, I bet 3.8. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, we will let you know. Yeah, when we have, for example, some of these binary package building at OBS, we will probably also show how we did, and yeah, just in case it will also help there with Tmat or with all the way of building packages or these binary packages. Yeah. So
Yeah, I'm interested on knowing that. I've been involved on at least part of Tiamat. So yeah, and I've also been frustrated on some things, and some of them still am. I still am. So there's a lot of things to fix.
okay, yeah, sure. We will let you know. Yeah. I don't have any other note here. I'm not sure if there is some other topic that you would like to bring it up today for this meeting, apart
No,
from what.
not on my end.
Mhm. Then, if there is nothing else, yeah, I would say that we can wrap up. Yeah, let's just wait for the next one. I hope you have a very good month.
Yeah,
Yeah, see you
you
next
too.
time. Thank you for attending.
See you next time, guys. Thank you.
See you.
See you. Bye bye. Thank you.
Bye bye.